Twelfth Night, Part 4. Yellow Stockings, Sebastian and Viola. Olivia was very sad when Viola, or the young page Cesario, as she thought her, went away saying that no woman should ever win his heart. And feeling that Malvolio's grave dignity just suited her present mood, she asked for her steward. "He is coming, madam, but in very strange manner," said the naughty Maria. "He is surely possessed, madam." "Why, what is the matter? Doth he rave?" "No, madam. He does nothing but smile. Your ladyship were best to have some guard about you if he come, for sure the man has something wrong with his wits." "Go, call him hither," said Olivia. When Maria returned with Malvolio, Olivia was amazed to see the extraordinary change that had come over her usually sober and sedate steward. Malvolio advanced with mincing step and many fantastic gestures, which he intended to represent gracious affability. His lantern jaws and severe features were twisted into strange grimaces, which he imagined to be fascinating smiles. His lanky legs were encased in brilliant yellow stockings and were further adorned with cross gartering from the ankle upwards. Olivia thought he must certainly be bereft of his wits, especially when, in answer to all her questions, he poured forth a series of incomprehensible remarks. They were really quotations from the letter he had picked up, but Olivia, of course, did not know this, and to her they sounded like senseless jargon. Malvolio kept on bowing and smirking and kissing his hand to Olivia, while he waved Maria aside with intense scorn. Olivia was really distressed to think of the sudden calamity that had befallen the poor man's wits, for she valued his honesty and faithful service. She gave directions that her people should take especial care of him, and sent Maria to find Sir Toby to look after him. Malvolio was quite pleased to find himself of such importance, and continued his self-complacent reflections on the greatness which he thought he had achieved. He was firmly convinced that Olivia really liked him, and that she had only sent for Sir Toby on purpose that he might be severe with him, as the letter advised. When Maria reappeared with Sir Toby and Fabian, he treated them all with the most lofty disdain. They were greatly delighted with the success of their trick, and determined to carry on the joke still further. Pretending to think that Malvolio had really lost his wits, they had him bound and carried to a dark room. Then Festi the clown disguised his voice and spoke to him as if he were a curate come to visit him in his misfortune. He had an argument with Malvolio, in which the poor man made it quite apparent that he was still in possession of his proper reason. But Festi, or Sir Topus, as he called himself for this occasion, would not hold out any hope of release, and, as far as Malvolio could tell in his dark prison, presently departed without bringing him any comfort. Sir Toby now began to think the joke had gone far enough, and that it was time to release Malvolio as soon as it could conveniently be done. He knew that Olivia would be seriously displeased if she came to learn what had happened, and he was already so deep in disgrace with his niece that he could not, with safety, pursue the sport any further. He therefore told the clown to speak to Malvolio in his own voice. Festi began singing one of his songs as if he had just come near, and Malvolio, recognizing it, called piteously to him for help. "Good fool, as ever you will deserve well at my hand, help me to a candle and pen, ink, and paper. As I am a gentleman, I will live to be thankful to you for it." The clown still went on teasing Malvolio a little before he would grant his request, but finally said he would get what he wanted and went off to fetch a light and writing materials. Malvolio wrote his letter, which the clown duly delivered, and which clearly proved that the poor man was quite sane, though justly indignant at the way in which he had been treated. Olivia ordered his immediate release, and when Malvolio came and bitterly reproached her for the letter she had written and the way in which he had been befooled, she assured him that the fault was none of hers, and that the handwriting was Maria's. Fabian then stepped forward and took the whole blame on himself and Sir Toby. He said they had played this trick on Malvolio because of his ill nature towards themselves. Maria had only written the letter under great persuasion from Sir Toby, who now, out of recompense, had married her. Fabian added that he thought the playful malice with which the joke was carried out deserved laughter rather than revenge, if the injuries on both sides were justly weighed. "Alas, poor fool, how have they baffled thee?" said Olivia. "I'll be revenged on the whole pack of you," cried Malvolio, taking himself off in a terrible fury. And the laughter of the others was checked by the stern rebuke of Olivia. "He has been treated most shamefully." Twelfth Night, Part 5. Sebastian and Viola. Olivia, wishing to speak once more with the young page Cesario, sent the clown in search of him, but Festi by chance happened to meet Sebastian instead, and thinking he was the person he was in search of, he delivered his lady's message to him. Sebastian could not understand in the least what he meant, but he was still further surprised when a very foolish-looking gentleman ran up to him and struck him a blow, saying, "Now, sir, have I met you again? There's for you." "Why, there's for you, and there, and there," retorted Sebastian, repaying his blows with interest. "Are all the people mad?" Sir Andrew was surprised and very much disgusted to find the young man whom they had taken for a coward could strike so vigorously with his fists. Sir Toby interfered on behalf of his timorous friend, and he and Sebastian had drawn their swords to fight in earnest, when Olivia, warned by Festi, came hurrying up. She sternly commanded Sir Toby to stay his hand and implored Sebastian, whom she took for Cesario, to pardon the rudeness of her kinsman and to go with her into the house. "Either I am mad or else this is a dream," thought the bewildered Sebastian when he heard this beautiful lady speaking to him as if he were already a dear friend. But dream or not, it was extremely pleasant, and he was quite willing that the illusion should continue. "If it be thus to dream, let me sleep still," he said to himself. This handsome young gallant was by no means so indifferent to the Countess Olivia as Cesario had been, and when she proposed that they should be married at once, he was quite willing to consent. He would gladly have consulted his friend Antonio, the sea captain, but this was not possible, for on going to the Elephant Inn, which was the place of meeting arranged, Antonio had never appeared to keep his appointment. The reason we know already, although Sebastian did not. Antonio had been arrested by Duke Orsino's officers. The marriage had only taken place 2 hours when Orsino, accompanied by Viola, came to Olivia's house, and almost immediately afterwards Antonio was led in by the officers. Now came fresh confusion. Antonio again thought Viola was Sebastian, and taxed him bitterly with his ingratitude. Viola stoutly denied ever having seen Antonio before, except on the one occasion when he had saved him from the valiant Sir Andrew. Antonio declared that for the last 3 months they had never parted company, day or night, whereupon the Duke declared his words must be madness, because for the last 3 months the youth had been his own attendant. Then came Olivia, who thought that Viola was the man to whom she had been married, and amazed her by calling her husband. The priest who had actually married them was called as witness, and declared this was true. It was now the Duke's turn to be indignant with Viola for her supposed deceit and treachery, for he thought that when he had sent Cesario to woo Olivia on his behalf, the page had taken the opportunity to secure the lady for himself. Matters were in this tangled state of confusion when all was happily put right by the arrival of Sebastian. When the twins stood together, everyone was amazed at the resemblance. The brother and sister were delighted to meet once more. Antonio found that his friend was not the monster of ingratitude he had taken him for, and Olivia was restored to a handsome and devoted husband who had no intention of denying his own wife. Orsino might perhaps have been sad at discovering that the Countess Olivia was now lost to him forever, but while a charming young bride stood ready at his hand, he was not unwilling to be consoled. Viola's faithful service met its reward. "Since you have called me master for so long," said the Duke, "here is my hand. You shall from this time be your master's mistress." Olivia said that Viola and the Duke must now look on her as a sister, and that the wedding should take place from her house. So they all trooped merrily away, and Festi the clown was left singing to himself. "When that I was a little tiny boy, with hey, ho, the wind and the rain, a foolish thing was but a toy, for the rain it raineth every day. But when I came to a man's estate, with a hey, ho, the wind and the rain, 'gainst knaves and thieves men shut their gate, for the rain it raineth every day. A great while ago the world began, with a hey, ho, the wind and the rain, but that's all one, our play is done, we'll strive to please you every day.'"